when should I form an S-Corp? If I'm currently functioning as an LLC business, when is that point where I should create an S-Corp?
I dare you to not say it depends.
No, I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take that dare because it does depend. But what I told you is I wasn't going to use that as my only answer, right? So let's jump into the detail. This gets kind of complicated, Clark. So we're not going to dive into it entirely. But let me give you the quick answer that I give to a lot of my clients. When you are a sole proprietor, meaning you're not incorporated, right? You're just a sole proprietor. It could be an LLC, or it can just be a DBA, or it can be neither of the two. You're just doing business, right, for yourself, and you're earning money. You pay an extra tax called the self-employment tax. Now, this self-employment tax is really not extra in the sense that if you're employed, you're paying 7.5%, right, of your wages as a tax. This represents that same 7.5%, except for as an employee, your employer's paying the other 7.5%. So together you pay 15%. In this scenario, you don't have an employer paying the other 7.5%. You are responsible for both shares of the 15%. So that self-employment tax can literally eat your lunch, right? I mean, it's really ridiculous how much money that can cost you. There comes a point at the profit in your business where it is superior to become an S corporation to reduce the impact of the self-employment tax. So I'm not going to dive into the math, but I will tell you that essentially that number is around $40,000 to $50,000 of profit from the S corporation.
After expenses, make sure it's really clear. Profit is you make all your money, you take away all the deductions, what's left over.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, for sure.
Is the profit side of things. So once your profit hits that amount, it becomes, I like to use numerically beneficial. It's worthy of serious exploration. Is this right for us? Right? There may be other considerations that would deter you or warrant your desire to be an S corp. But from our stance, the numerical side of things, hey, this is really worth your consideration, your time to explore if this is going to work.
Yeah, for sure. And then talking about the kind of numeric side of things, if you've got that $50,000 in profit, or let's say you have $30,000 in profit, and we run a simulation and I say it'll save you about $300 or $200 in taxes to do this, but it's going to cost you more money to actually set up the S corporation, to file the S corporation, to have the separate records and all of that kind of stuff. You see where I'm coming from, right? It's just not worth it. But let's say at $50,000, and these numbers aren't representative of reality. I'm just trying to give you an idea, right? Let's say at $50,000 of profit. So you got $1 million in revenue and $950,000 of expense in order to produce your product or your service. So you got $50,000 in profit. Let's say that it saves you $8,000 in tax. $8,000 is a lot. And if you say, man, Kevin, this is going to cost me another $2,500 in my time and money and everything, but that difference in tax savings, you say, man, that $3,500 or $4,500 more in tax savings, that amount in savings is worth more to me than what the kind of my time and the costs and all that kind of stuff. So then in that scenario, everybody's threshold is going to be a little different, right? Because for me, if I can save $1,000, I might do it. But for you, if it causes all these extra headaches and these record keeping and this extra filing every year with different deadline dates and all of that causes you to, and let's say you only save $2,500. You say, man, Kevin, $2,500 in savings is not enough for me to warrant setting up the S corporation. That's the tax side of things. There's also the legal ramifications to having a taxed entity, or sorry, that's the wrong phrase, to having an entity before the IRS and all of that. Because S corporations don't pay taxes. They're what's called a pass-through. They pass the profits onto the owners, and the owners pay taxes, not the S corporation. Again, it goes back to the myth that businesses, that corporations pay tax, right? S corps literally don't pay taxes. They're a pass-through entity. C corporations are where you get into the big ones, right? The Exxons, the Amazons, and all of that kind of stuff. And there is tax on C corporations.